What I've learned is that sometimes ghosting doesn't really matter. Like when it's snack time. Sam! Sam! But then other times, ghosting really matters. Trust falls. Hi, everyone. My name's Lissy Alden. That was me pretending to be a big stupid ghost because I'm here to talk to you about a topic that is near and unfortunately dear to my heart, which is ghosting. Now, today on Your Brain Explained, we had a person write in, Brandon from New York, saying that he had just been personally ghosted by a potential employer, and he wanted to know why does it hurt so bad and what he can do about it. So today, that is what we are here to do, talk about what ghosting is, why it sucks so much, and what you can do about it. Ghosting is the act of somebody completely disappearing, dropping all communication or presence without any sort of explanation at all. I did a quick poll on LinkedIn, and in 80 responses, only 5% of people had said that they had never been ghosted. So for those people, bravo. Now, what is it? Well, it's often happening when people just stop responding to you cold turkey. There's the ghoster, the person who is too scared or nervous or rude to get back to you. And then there's the ghostee, the person who's the recipient of silence on the other end. The term originated in 2014 with relation to the dating world. People would meet somebody online and all of a sudden they'd go on a date or two, it's going amazing, and boom, cold turkey, never hear from them ever again. Pretty harsh, huh? Well, it turns out that this phenomenon has now leaked into the workplace, and people are seeing this left, right, and center, whether they're applying for jobs or on the other end, employees are seeing this a lot with employees just not showing up to work.
Hi, Lissy. Thanks for letting me share my craziest ghosting story. And no, it wasn't from dating. Anyways, as you know, I'm Haley Swartz, one of the founders of Actual Veggies. So when we were raising our Series A, we were looking for a lawyer to represent us. And I found this lawyer who I just felt like got us. She was awesome. She was great. She's like, let me get back to you in 24 hours. We'll get this figured out. There's a few hard things to do. Well, I never heard from her again. I followed up literally 25 times, never heard from her again. She's a lawyer at a very prominent law firm, one of those that cost $2,000 an hour, and she never responded. And to this day, I don't know what happened.
Just a lot with employees just not showing up to work. In fact, in a study done by Indeed, 77% of people had been ghosted by an employer. And in another study done on LinkedIn, said that over 93% of people had been ghosted in some way, shape, or form by an employer. Now, on the flip side, it looks like companies aren't the villains here because employees aren't showing up either. Over 60% of them have said that they at some point have ghosted an employer, either in the job search process or on day one, just straight up not showing up.
Working with people, finding the right people, finding good people is always the hardest part. We were looking to find an editor for some of our video content. You would start a series of conversations and maybe coordinate for the first set of deliverables. That would go silent. It just became this inevitable game. And the thing with ghosting is, as much as it happens, you also have to continue to push through it because inevitably you find diamonds in the rough, so to speak. So keep your head up high and keep pushing.
So we're in a little bit of an epidemic here. And like I said, it's happening all the time. The other day, I was in the middle of a sales conversation with somebody, and the guy, no joke, I spent no less than 20 hours with him interviewing employees, trying to make sure that he was buying the right thing. He just silence. Now, my first thought when this happened was oh my gosh, did he die? Or did something happen to someone in his family? Are his fingers broken? Did my email go through? All of a sudden, I'm searching every reason in my head why this really kind, nice guy could have just not responded to me. And that's when I realized, boom, ghosted. It's like the new boom roasted, if you will. So with that, let's get into part 2. Now let's get to the meat of the question here, which is why does getting ghosted feel so dang terrible? Number 1 is we really struggle with uncertainty. Specifically, our brains struggle with uncertainty. In a study done, they showed that there were some people who were rejected and some people who were ghosted. And while both parties faced emotional pain, the folks who were ghosted experienced something unique, which is this emotional attachment or inability to let it go. There was this curiosity that kept looping around where could they have gone. Now, there's a theory called the Zeigarnik Effect, which basically says that our brains like to make up the end of stories if they don't know them. In other words, if there is a piece missing to a puzzle, then our brains make up the rest of it so that we can have a complete puzzle. It's kind of like the ultimate cliffhanger effect. It's why we love mysteries, right? You are watching a Netflix show and all of a sudden something crazy happens at the end of an episode. You need to figure it out. The same thing happens here. It's the least human thing in the world to have somebody not respond to you. So what happens? Boom, the Zeigarnik or the cliffhanger effect. Our brains have to figure out what's going on here. And so until we can complete the mystery, we tend to get stuck. Challenge 2 is what we call the behavioral spiral. Now, this is a really interesting one, and it's kind of rough. So there was a study shown that when people are ghosted, they show almost as much interest in the person who ghosted them as somebody who's still in the game. They're looking on LinkedIn, they're looking at their profile, they're rereading emails. And the challenge here is that we tend to want to keep engaging with this material, again, because we struggle with uncertainty. And so we have this big spiral where we do behaviors that help us continue to investigate this person, almost obsessing over them, which can then cause even more destruction to our self-esteem, rumination, and just feelings of upset. Reason 3, no surprise, we call this the self-esteem challenge. Now, this is where psychology today says that we get a whole host of challenges from a psychological perspective when we get ghosted. There's sadness, there's a feeling of rejection. People tend to feel like there's something wrong with them when they get ghosted. And this turns into what I like to call the doom loop, which is where we tend to spiral down with these negative thoughts. We fall into what we call cognitive distortions. Things like personalization, where when bad things happen, we think that they're about us. Or emotional reasoning, which is when we take a feeling and we attach a reason to it. So I'm feeling so bad because I'm so bad, right? And that's why I didn't hear from them. Or we do what's called mental filtering, which is where we completely neglect to remember all the good stuff, like how good you did in the interview, what great outfit you picked out, and how wonderful the interaction was. And then we focus on the one thing that, again, is uncertain or negative, which is, in this case, the person disappeared. We also have our negativity bias, another cognitive distortion, where our brain tends to think about and focus on the negative in order to keep us alive. Like, for example, someone disappearing, right? And so we're so focused on this one bad thing, it's really, really hard for us to notice all the other good things that might be happening, like callbacks from other jobs or, other dates we may be going on. And last but not least, frankly, with ghosting, we are out of control. As humans, one of the most important things you need for psychological resilience and to feel good is a feeling like you are in control. And when somebody completely ghosts you or disappears from your life and you can't even respond or engage with them, all of a sudden people can feel powerless. And this in itself is a problem. Now, what we want to do is really make sure that you have the steps that you need to feel good, and most importantly, bring that agency and control back into your life so you can move through one of these spooky situations and start feeling better fast. All right, part 3, what are we gonna do about it? So what do you do after you get ghosted to, again, regain the sense of control, to stop or move through those negative feelings, and most importantly, get out the other side and get back in the game, whatever that game may be. So in Brendan's case, that is making sure you are feeling good in your job search. And for other people, it might be dating. So let's dive in. Step 1 is give yourself a to-do list or a deadline, meaning get clear on what you're gonna do with this person who allegedly ghosted you, and then give yourself a deadline by which you will stop engaging with them. So, for example, with this person that ghosted me at work, I said I'd reach out to him 3 times. But after that 3rd one, I literally took a deep breath in and out, and I said, that's all I can do. But set a goal about how you're gonna engage with this person and then forget them. But you need to stop engaging and find a time and place that you're gonna do that and really hold yourself accountable to it. The next thing here is what we like to call cognitive reframing. It's really about recognizing the whole truth, not just your own, but we like to have a little fun with it. So in this case, what you can do is you can go ahead and on a piece of paper, on the left side, write them, and on the right side, write me. And in the first round, what I want you to do is write down for them what could be going on for them. So maybe in the case of me, he's on a vacation, things got busy, this is no longer a priority, maybe he got fired. And then what's going on for me? I'm really excited about the offerings that I've got. I put in a lot of time and I'm feeling really, really excited about the deal. Then what I want you to do is take it up a notch, which is for them, I want you to think about some crazy things, maybe even some things that might be so crazy they make you laugh. Maybe his computer broke. Maybe he got locked out of his email. Maybe, just maybe, he's decided he's gonna be an astronaut instead of actually, work at a financial firm. And that is why he's not talking to me anymore, because he decided it had to happen now. And he literally love quit as opposed to rage quit in this new pursuit of a passion. Okay. Now I want you to do that for yourself. What are some fun, kind of wild reasons why you may not ever want to hear from them again? Maybe you feel like you weren't supposed to work for them anyway because they used Windows operating system as opposed to Mac. What are some wild reasons why you might be better off without this person? Now, the point of this exercise is truly to get you to a place where you feel like you're clear on a bunch of truths and maybe even some untruths, but you feel like you've given your brain all the pieces of the puzzle that it could possibly want so that you can really, again, counteract the Zeigarnik Effect and this desire to make sure your brain completes every story by writing your own. Next up, we're gonna call this the re-explanation station. Now, this is where we have you understand how you might be explaining the ghosting situation in your head and reframe it through the lens of what we call the 3 Ps. Now, the 3 Ps were actually created by the founder of positive psychology, Martin Seligman. And what he realized was that when bad things happen to people, they would explain them in a certain way in their head. In other words, they have a certain explanatory style. Now, when ghosting happens, it's really natural for us to explain things in a pretty negative way. For example, I got ghosted because it's personal, I suck, it's permanent, this is always gonna be the case, I'm never gonna find a job, and it's pervasive, right? Everything in my life sucks. It's very natural for us to spiral down like this, which is pretty bad. But again, our brain has a lot of reasons for doing this that actually help us. Now, the challenge is when this thinking gets in the way of us moving forward and getting back into the game. So the other way I'd like you to do this is this time, I want you to think about why this might not be personal, right? They might be too busy, inconsiderate, or avoidant of negative emotions. It's not permanent. It's just a point in time and you will find another job, and it's not pervasive, meaning write down a bunch of the other great things that are happening in your life, right? Are you hearing from people? Are you feeling like your workouts are going okay? Or do you feel like you've got a good group of friends around you? Now, the 3 Ps are really helpful. Anytime something challenging happens, I try to pull them out, especially when my thoughts are not serving me. Now, the next one here is what we call finding a chatterboard. This is based on what Dr. Ethan Kross calls chatter, or that incessant voice in your head that can just chit-chat away whether you like it or not. Now, fun fact, the voice in your head isn't necessarily true. Meaning, if you can create metacognition, which is seeing your thoughts, not being your thoughts in this case, so noticing what's going on for you, you can really start to create a different dialogue with yourself, right? I always like to say that when bad things happen, like ghosting, a lot of us have an alter ego in our heads that tend to yap away and say some pretty bad stuff. My name's Lissy, my alter ego, her name is Pissy. You heard me. So we all have one. Now, forming a chatterboard is really about finding someone on the outside, somebody who you love or who likes you, right? Doesn't have to be a romantic partner, who can help you get your head on straight about the situation and really talk through it. And this is somebody you can say, hey, this is the story I'm telling myself in my head, and they're gonna tell you what else is going on. Like, at the end of the day, frankly, you're better off without them, and this just isn't the opportunity for you, whether, again, it's dating or work. And last but not least, this is called making a plan. So what I'd like you to do for this one is you draw a circle on a piece of paper. On the inside of that circle, I want you to write 3 to 5 things with regard to this ghosting situation that are in your control. So if it's a job search, is it applying to more jobs? Or maybe it's really about, spending more time on your resume. And On the outside of the circle, what I want you to do is write 3 to 5 things that are out of your control. Like, for example, this person getting back to you, or the timeline when you're gonna get your next job. Feel free to pause the video if you're doing this along with me, is I want you to go ahead and circle one thing on the inside of your circle that you can do next. And this is your plan. And ideally that thing is small, not like redo my whole job search, but create a job search spreadsheet as an example. Now, this is really about making sure that you're, again, establishing that sense of control in the situation and really focusing your mind on the thing that you can actually affect. So at Mindy, when we talk about focus, we talk about the practice of putting your intention towards one place. Now, with ghosting, it's really natural for your brain or intention to kind of wander and scatter at the whim of your feelings and emotions. But this exercise is really about setting that intention and getting back to it, which is the job search and not this person who decided to be a wimp and not get back to you. So with that, I hope that you've learned a couple tricks and things that you can do whenever you get ghosted. Now, I wish I could say, I hope this never happens again, but I promise it will. Now, I always like to think about these things as tests of my mental fitness. Can I get back in the game faster this time than last? Can I move through those feelings faster than the last? Now, again, the point here isn't to ignore all of the feelings that come up. You're human, and hopefully you feel validated knowing now why you feel the way you felt. But the point is to make sure that those feelings don't get in the way of you moving forward. And most importantly, you know what to do and you've got a toolkit next time the ghosts show up. You can bust them. So with that, I want to thank you for your time and mind. And we'll do our next segment on why people ghost. And quick hint, it has a lot to do with difficult conversations. So I'll see you next week on Your Brain Explained with me, Lissy Alden.